the front runner for Rookie of the Year at this point because he's essentially lapped the field. It's not even. Yeah, who else is even in striking distance? I think he has. I think he may, in fact, have it locked already.
I think with his top 8 at the last Grand Prix that he played in, he didn't top 8 DC, but I believe he top 8 Chicago. I think that may have locked it up.
So his opponent here, Patrick Clinton, is playing green-black Dredge. We've seen this deck intermittently show up, although not for a while here. It has a variety of graveyard synergies, Grizzly Salvage, Commune with the Gods to enable all sorts of things from Night Howler, Gerard Golgari Lich, Nemesis Immortals, Shadowborn Demon. So it's basically a green-black graveyard value deck. It does play 1 copy of Whip of Erebos in the main deck, so it can get some real reanimation draws going, but it is basically rampant to good graveyard value.
We're going to see a Grizzly Salvage here. Going to turn over a Nyx Weaver. We've also got a Swamp, another Golgari Charm, a Satyr Wayfinder, and a Temple of Malady. So some cards are going to go to the graveyard here. Satyr Wayfinder is going to go to the hand. Don't know if Clinton needed a land or not. Doesn't look like it. Going to play a Forest. Follow this up with Nelvish Mystic before passing the turn back over to Boettcher. Boettcher does have the ability to make a rat, and he will, discarding Gray Merchant. Quickly going to untap. Take a draw here, will Jared, and draws another copy of Gray Merchant for the turn. And sending across here for 4 right now, but it could be more in just a moment.
This is one of the spots that's tough for green-black Dredge is they have a lot of finicky stuff and a lot of setup, and they can get buried by Pack Rat pretty quickly in some games. Now, the deck does play a lot of chump blockers and has some powerful stuff of its own going on, so it's not like this is game over, but these are the kind of draws that punish green-black Dredge for spending so much time getting their shop set up.
And on this particular draw, it looks like Clinton needs quite a few turns to get the shop set up.
Well, he has a lot of mana at this point, so the issue is just what payouts does he have left over.
Boettcher's going to discard another copy of Gray Merchant. This is an attacker for 6. Clinton's going to go down to 14, but more importantly, there are 3 3/3s over there on Boettcher's side with the ability for a lot more. So Clinton's going to draw a card. Looks like a copy of Abrupt Decay was added to the hand. We'll see what else he does have at the ready here. Needs to get something good going, or he could die before it ever happens. Here's a Satyr Wayfinder. Going to turn over a couple of cards here. There's an Overgrown Tomb, Gerard, a Night Howler, and a copy of Thoughtseize. So Overgrown Tomb's going to go to the grip. The rest are going to go to the bin. But will he have enough time to get all set up is the big question.
Well, once he does, Jared's in a lot of trouble here because of the way his draw is. He can't really do very much other than continue to make Pack Rats until he gets to lands 4 and 5, and then maybe can start casting Grey Merchants, although 2 of them have already been discarded.
This is 4 mana. That's a copy of Whip of Erebos. So it looks like the shop is almost set up here.
Yeah.
Clinton will pass the turn back over to Boettcher, who will untap those 3 rats. Again, 3 3/3s for right now, potential for a whole lot more as Boettcher does draw a copy of Thoughtseize for the turn. Also has a copy of Erebos, God of the Dead in his hand, to shut off the lifelink of Whip of Erebos, but does not have the 4th land just yet, so he will send in with the 3 3/3s. Satyr Wayfinder's going to jump in front of a Pack Rat. Will Boettcher activate or potentially leave up a removal spell in Hero's Downfall?
Seems very good for Boettcher here to leave up the mana because it's possible Patrick spends his entire turn just reanimating something out of the graveyard, and then Hero's Downfall is excellent. And if Patrick does nothing, then Jared still has the option of making a rat. So I think it's good for Jared there to give up the 2 points of damage to give himself maximum flexibility.
Clinton does play a copy of Temple or Malady before combat and leave the top card on top. So clearly something that he likes. You do see the Abrupt Decay in his hand right now. I'm going to activate this. Going to target, we'll see either Night Howler or Gerard. It's going to be Night Howler. Not the biggest Night Howler we've ever seen, but coming into the red zone nonetheless. Looks like there's definitely 2 creatures down there in Satyr Wayfinder and Gerard. Maybe another one. So at best, I believe we're looking at a 3/3.
So Jared could just potentially make a rat here.
Yep. It looks like that's what he's going to do. So, discard a Thoughtseize, make a rat. He will block. Damage will get dealt there. Clinton will gain a little bit of life. Of course, that will get exiled when it does die. You see the players exchanging some things around here very quickly. Make sure our board state is all good to go. And just a passing of the turn. It looks like Night Howler, of course, is all graveyard, so.
Yeah.
There is a swamp. Boettcher can cast the Thoughtseize now if he'd like, or just fire up this way. This will be an attack here for 9. Again, with the ability to make it much more than that.
And chum blocking with these mana creatures is really rough here for Patrick because he needs all of his mana to activate Whip and do other stuff.
Again, the Red Splash in this deck, and we have seen Jared play this version of Devotion quite a few times. He does have a Dreadbore in his main, a copy of Rakdos' Return. In the sideboard, he's got a Sire of Insanity, another copy of Rakdos' Return over there. We have seen him play Mizium Mortars in this shell before, but a much lighter Red Splash this go around this weekend.
0 copies of Mizium Mortars is interesting because I feel like one of the biggest incentives to play this deck is getting access to Mortars to answer Blood Baron, which is a problematic card.
We've also seen players play Slaughter Games and some other things for a Red Splash. But Jared, again, very, very light on the Red Splash this particular weekend. But hey, you don't need red spells when your rats are just giving them the business.
That's true.
Here's Nemesis of Mortals. That one's on the cheap. See if Clinton has anything else he wants to do this turn. Does have the mana for a Whip activation, but not going to use it. Again, we still know about the Abrupt Decay that's hanging out in his hand. And Boettcher going to consult his grip. Looks like it may be time to activate Pack Rat one more time. Could be time to cast Hero's Downfall as well. See Jared really considering his options with Clinton at 9 life.
Makes a little more sense if he can afford it to activate the Pack Rat now and untap in Hero's Downfall while he attacks to get an extra attacker in there.
Looks like that's the line he's going to take. Desecration even wants to draw. Jared going to quickly reorganize his mana. I imagine this is going to be a Thoughtseize to make sure the coast is clear, so there is Thoughtseize. There's an Abrupt Decay to take care of the Pack Rat. Of course, you do want the real copy of Pack Rat in the graveyard, given the option. So away this goes.
Well, it cuts a little bit both ways because Jared may have a Whip of his own.
Sure,
but
sure.
I guess at this point, with 2 Grey Merchants in the graveyard, that's not a huge priority.
The hand there for Clinton, just 2 lands, Overgrown Tomb and a Forest. And will Boettcher make a move here? With attacking and Hero's Downfall and the Nemesis Mortal, he could just continue to wait again.
Well, you can Hero's Downfall the Nemesis Immortals. It forces a chump block, and even if Patrick untaps and hits with Nemesis Immortals off of the Whip, I think Jared could still potentially kill on the way back.
I don't think anything too bad happens. Jared a little bit frustrated. Looks like he's giving this turn a lot of thought. And here comes, no, maybe not an attack.
He may be just double checking the number of creatures in the graveyard here to get an idea of how much mana it costs for him to return the Nemesis Immortals off the Whip and also monsters it in the same turn.
Sure. Just wants to make sure nothing bad happens, basically.
Yeah.
Let's see what Clinton draws for the turn. Didn't get a great look at it. Looks like it may have been a Thoughtseize.
Yep.
That's not going to help too much.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. Clinton may have the ability to return Nemesis Immortals and Monstrosity it, but I don't know that that's going to be good enough, and I think he's coming to that conclusion right now.
Yeah, even gaining, he's looking at 15 damage on the attack next turn because Jared can attack with 3 rats, make a 4th rat, and turn on the Mutavault. So even if he's able to return Nemesis Immortals and Monsters it, that only sets him up to 13. And I suspect he doesn't have a line to play better than that.
Yeah, a Gerard is not really going to work its way into the equation just yet.
Yeah. Again, just a little too... it's not like there isn't powerful stuff going on with Patrick's draw. There certainly is, but it's just a little too much setup and moving parts. And when you're facing down Pack Rats and Heroes Downfalls and Thoughtseizes, you don't have a lot of time to mess around with that sort of setup.
If there's no Pack Rat this game, I'd have plenty of time to set up shop.
Oh, for sure.
But that's part of the appeal of Pack Rat, is it doesn't allow you to mess around. Looks like Gerard's going to come back to the grip here and will be cast. Boettcher looks like he's going to show Hero's Downfall. Says, I'm pretty sure I've got you beat. There is a forest. Of course, Gerard says sacrifice another creature. Boettcher does show Hero's Downfall, and that is going to do it. So Jared Boettcher is going to win this match over Patrick Clinton 2-1. Black-Red Devotion taking down Green-Black Dredge.
Pretty straightforward. I mean, we didn't get to see what the other 2 games looked like, but that was a deck that's a lot more consistent, taking advantage of a deck that is not quite as consistent.
Yeah, I think the consistency issues, have always been the problem with the Green-Black Dredge deck, as you mentioned. They're certainly doing something powerful, but the shop takes some time to get set up.
There's a lot of 2-ofs in this deck.
Yeah.
That sort of frames it pretty nicely there. You know, 2 Death Red Shaman, 2 Carried, 2 Nyx Weaver, 2 Shadowborn Demon, 2 Communes, 1 Whip. There's weird numbers all over the place. Part of the rationale is you're looking at so many cards because you have Grizzly Salvage and Commune and so forth, but it does lead to lopsided or top-heavy draws.
Yeah.
And when you're facing down pack rat removal spells, it's really hard to be